In this video, I'll explain how to work with rulers and create guides in Adobe InDesign CC 2015. Okay, so I've got a document here. It's an 8.5 by 11 document and 4 pages. So it's a newsletter layout. I'll go ahead and click on pages, and there are the 4 pages. Now, when you're working in the real world with real world measurements, you want to be able to see those, and InDesign has rulers. So I'll go ahead and choose View, Show Rulers. You can also use Control R to turn them on or off. And there are the rulers. Now, the use of the rulers, there are a couple of different things you can do with it. The first thing is that as you move around the screen, you can see that there are little helper guides showing us exactly where we are in relation to the measurements on the vertical and the horizontal rulers. And that's very useful because often you'll need to be able to understand exactly where you are on a page, and that's just a visual cue that helps you with that. You can also change the origin point of rulers. Right now, the origin point is in the upper left-hand corner. See, there's 0 right there and 0 right there. You can change that. I'll go ahead and click on this upper left-hand corner of the ruler and drag, and notice how there's a crosshair. And I'll drag over to this edge and release. And now we've changed the origin 0, 0 to right there and there. I'll just reset that. So I'll click and drag this back there, because that's typically where you want 0 and 0 to be. Now, we also have guides, and the guides work in conjunction with the rulers. And right now, we see a box on the screen. It's magenta and purple. And that box is a guide. It's a non-printing object that was created when we created the new document. And it's got a 1/4 of an inch border around the edges. That's called your live matter area, the area inside that box where you design everything. You try to avoid going to the edge with anything that's not supposed to bleed off the edge. And the guides are not just visual in the case of InDesign. I'll go up to View again, locate Grids and Guides, and notice how here it says Snap to Guides, and that's checked. And what that means is when I draw an object, I can actually feel it snap into place. As I get closer to this guide, you're going to even see it snap into place, just like that. And so guides allow me to draw with precision, and that's very important when you're working with an application like InDesign. Let me go ahead and delete that, because you can also create your own manual guides. I'll go back to the selection tool. And to do that, you click and drag on either of the rulers. I'll click on the vertical ruler and drag out, and then go right to there. You can even see a little measurement right next to it to show us exactly where it is on the screen or on the page, and release, and we've created our guide. Now, if you're not happy with the location, you can always click it again and drag it and move it. So you're not limited once you've drawn a guide. You can move it around. Okay, so there's my guide, and now if I choose the rectangle tool again and click and drag, as I get closer to this guide, I'll feel it snap into place. And that's very helpful when you're creating or working with documents. They can also be used just as purely visual guides to help you understand where things sit in relation to other things from a design standpoint. So they're practical in the sense that you can snap to them, but you can also use them to represent sort of a visual cue for you when you're creating things. Same thing up here. I'll go ahead and click and drag that guide down the center of the page, or approximately the center, and release. And there we've created our guide. Now notice how that one's blue. If I click back here, I can select a guide, and when I select it, it becomes a dark blue, and the other guide becomes a cyan. And so guides are extremely useful in that respect. And just keep in mind, there's another little trick I'll show you here, that when you create a guide, it doesn't have to be just on the page. Notice how this guide currently is just on the page, as is this one. If I go up here and click and drag, and make sure that I'm not dragging on the actual page itself, so I have to be somewhere on the artboard, and release. Notice how that guide now extends the page, and that can be helpful if you're trying to line things up off the page. I'll do it again. Click and drag. Notice how right now it's not extending off the page, but if I move the mouse up, then now it does. And so that's a very useful way of being able to create extended guides. If you ever need to delete a guide, there's a couple of different things you can do. Remember, you can click on a guide, the color changes to a darker blue, just press delete. Or you can click on a guide and drag it back into the ruler, and that removes it. So guides are extremely useful. They're one of those things that take a little bit of work understanding how they work and how you're going to use them in terms of what you're designing. But once you get the handle on the guides, they're an extremely useful way of working with the rulers in Adobe InDesign.